Hello and welcome back to another episode of Queerpreneurs Unleashed. I'm your host, Dustyn Baulkham, and on Queerpreneurs Unleashed, I get the privilege of chatting with some pretty cool 2S LGBT plus entrepreneurs. And today we are recording actually in the Arts Coast space on the traditional and ancestral territory of the Syilx or Okanagan people. And we honor and respect the land on which we live, work, and play. And today I get to chat with Tony. Thanks for being here.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Excellent. I've been chatting for a bit, and at one point I was going to try and come down and see you down in your shop, but life changes.
And I'm in Kelowna all the time because I do lots of work here too.
You do. Absolutely. So I always like to start off, tell us your name, pronouns if you want, and your business, and then we're going to chat a bit more about you personally and then dig into the business.
Cool. So my name is Tony Munday. I go with pronouns of he, him. I identify as a gay male. And my main business is Munday Media and Design, and then I have a spin-off business, which is I'm a brand new drag queen, which I look at and view as a business. And then I have a spin-off of that where I'm doing a drag queen Airbnb thing.
Okay, well, we'll dig into that. How long ago did you come out?
Yeah, so I'm even a baby gay.
You are?
I'm a baby gay.
I was thinking about that actually, and
I came out 3.5 years ago.
Okay.
And that could be a giant episode.
Yeah, all in itself.
Yeah.
And what, do you mind sharing a bit more about what that was like coming out a little bit?
Terrifying.
Yeah.
It was terrifying, crazy, scary. I tell people I felt like I blew up the world.
Yeah.
So I came out to my wife at the time. A slobbery, disgusting mess of a conversation. So I was married. I have 2 kids. My son just turned 5. My daughter turns 13 next week.
Oh, wow.
So I will have an official teenage girl in the house. And I grew up in a incredibly conservative Roman Catholic Italian immigrant household. Okay. So I was an altar boy, I was in church choir, I went to catechism, I worked for the church as a youth minister, I ran youth group programs. I tried to find every answer in the world within the church, and unfortunately I did not fit.
Yeah.
And then we just never talked about being gay. We never talked about it being okay or not okay, just basically this is the way the church views it, and so I moved forward. So I had a small gay period in university.
Okay, like experimenting kind of?
Yeah, so I went to university and majored in music. So I majored in clarinet and minored in voice. And I was like the only straight guy, and I obviously wasn't straight. Right? So I had like a small relationship with a roommate at a time, and then was coming back home and was like, no, I'm bi. This is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to find the right woman and get married and have kids because I knew I wanted kids and move forward, and it just never fit.
Right. I'm not gonna lie, it kind of sounds like the plot to a porno at the beginning in university. That's kind of.
It's. I mean, like, I'm older. I'm just turned 40.
Right.
So like,
that's barely old anymore.
So like, even in university, like, there was no Grindr. There was like adult friend finder, and like my first hookup from university was literally a phone number from the bathroom stall in university. I was like, all right, let's see how that goes.
Manhunt was around then, right? Was it Manhunt?
I don't know.
I think that was one of the first ones that I remember kind of on.
No, Adult Friend Finder and Craigslist, like old school, looking at frickin' classifieds.
That's one thing I never experimented with was Craigslist. But
yeah. Anyways,
you don't want to dig into that more? No, it's okay. I'm just kidding. How did your kids handle you coming out?
Amazingly well. So I came out to my ex-wife or wife at the time. We were talking about counseling because I don't have benefits running my own business, and she did at the time. I was like, I need to go to a counselor. I was unpacking a whole bunch of stuff along with being gay. I was dealing with trauma that was going on at the same time. When I was a kid, I was actually hijacked my school bus was hijacked. I grew up in Osoyoos, so I was kidnapped. And my school bus was hijacked at gunpoint, so I was dealing with all of this, and then while that was happening, other things were coming up, and I was like, okay, I need to go see a counselor, and then I came unglued. And so basically, my house is giant and weird, so I moved into the upstairs portion of the house, and the kids weren't sure what was going on. We sat them down. So, I mean, my daughter would have been, do the math, Tony, 8.
That's okay.
Whatever, so she was a lot more knowledgeable and told them that we were splitting up, we were getting a divorce, that we still loved them, all the things. And I said it's because I was gay, and my daughter just broke down sobbing. Okay. And she's like, well, that's okay. And I was like, wow. And my son was just like, whatever. Like, it was he doing what, 2? He was 3-ish, 4 at the time-ish. Just, yeah. Okay. So he was like, he doesn't even remember mommy and daddy together, which is kind of nice for him. Yeah. But my daughter was really empathetic about it, and my wife was kind of like, well, okay, good. It's a good reason. It's like, all right. It's like, she's like, that's a good reason to get divorced. I'm like, awesome.
It could have definitely gone a lot worse.
It could have gone a lot worse. And we lived together in the same house. Like, I just bought her out this last summer. Right. So we shared the house. I live in a 5,300 square foot old church.
It's a good room.
So my business is one portion, then there was the lower living area, and then there was a suite upstairs, which is now my Airbnb. Right. So basically, we had 2 houses in the same building, and the kids moved freely from upstairs to downstairs, and a week with mommy, daddy, and a week with me, kind of thing. Actually, my ex and her partner were living upstairs for a while, which all good, no issues for me. Yeah. We tried keeping the kids in one set of bedrooms, and that was weird. So they actually had bedrooms upstairs and bedrooms downstairs. And like, my ex and I are good at communicating with the kids, but everything else we pretty much stay away from. And living in the same building, we could go months without actually seeing each other. It's amazing. It's like, my entrance is on this side, your entrance on that side, and that's it. We don't want to talk about anything that we don't have to outside of the divorce, the kids, and the house. And now that the house is out of the picture, it's just the kids. So.
Yeah. Which means kind of a nice way for the kids, I feel like, because they still have that consistency of being in the same space, even though it's different floors and different bedrooms, but you're still in the same 4 walls, for lack of a better term. So, and how are the kids today?
Good. Yeah. So it took them a little while to get used to having 2 houses. I'm the lucky parent, being that I work from home, so I see the kids more than my week, so we're week on, week off, but they come to me after school when it's their mom's week because she's still at work. So I get them a couple extra hours almost every day, which is nice. Yeah. And they are so comfortable with me being queer. They're so comfortable with me being a drag queen. My daughter will try on clothes for me when I'm sewing. She'll help me get a breastplate on, or I'm stuck in something, or zip me up. My son is unfazed by seeing a random silicone breast sitting on the table. So, I mean, not a lot of kids grow up with that. I mean, it's one thing to have a gay parent. It's another thing to have a parent who's getting into drag. So they're pretty unfazed by it. They're comfortable expressing how they're feeling, what they're at. Like, a year after I came out, my daughter was like, I think I might like girls. And, it was just, and she's like, I don't know, I'm figuring it out. But to be able to say that, just like she was picking her socks. Right. Where I sobbed because I was like, I just, destroyed my life. Yeah. And something that I wish I could have just said when I was a kid and not be beaten up or penalized or, the things we used to get called. Oh, everyone knew I was gay before I knew I was gay, according to everyone else. So it's like, fuck.
It's like we saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes when people just say, I don't know, it's a tough, right? Because you almost want people to tell you that they know something's off, but people are always worried about hurting friendships or whatever. And we literally had a discussion with some friends last night. I'm like, if you saw something in a relationship that you thought was off, I'd rather you tell me than hold on to it until afterwards because you're worried it's going to hurt our friendship. To me, that hurts our friendship more because you didn't tell me. Anyway. it's been an ongoing discussion with
Yeah,
some
no, I've
friends
had that
around
recently too. And what I've done is I've gone to people now and it's like, all right, do you see red flags that I'm not seeing? Because, my last relationship, there was red flags that I did not see that I wish people would have said something a little bit sooner. Because I was like, oh, I'm new and gay and horny as fuck and...
Pick it up for last time.
Oops.
As it happens.
Yes.
What's one thing about you that people might not know?
One thing about me that people may not know. And it's funny, you sent me the questions and I looked at them and of course now I'm drawing a blank. One thing that people may not know about me. Well, so I kind of already told you one of them. I was hijacked.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, so grade 6, my school bus was hijacked at gunpoint. In Osoyoos, this is like even pre-Columbine, like when was this? Would have been 96. Fucked with me.
Yeah,
big time. Like I didn't realize until like 4 years ago that it's not normal to relive trauma every day.
Yeah.
I would think about it and relive it every day. So it was really nice to get that out of my brain because it took up a lot of freaking space. And something that people are getting to know is like I play a ton of music. A ton of instruments. So
Very
that kind
artsy.
of dabbles into my drag a little bit every now and then.
also with being a designer, and I think we dance, and every time we're talking about drag and stuff, you hear different parts of things. I feel at least for myself. So,
but I mean, the biggest thing was I was gay, and now I'm just an open fucking book, and it's just like this is who I am, like it or not.
Yeah,
this is who it is. So,
which honestly is how it always should be, but obviously it's not for a lot of different reasons.
I've had a lot of jobs. My resume is weird and freaky and varied. Because you grew up in Kelowna, right? No. Where are you from?
I was born in the Kootenays and grew up in Saskatchewan.
Okay, so...
Dad was in the RCMP. Just back in the RCMP.
So you moved around with that. I found growing up in the Okanagan, as a young adult, you had to have multiple jobs to make ends meet.
Right.
At my age group anyways. So I have worked fast food. I worked when I tell people I worked for Dairy Queen for 13 years.
Yeah.
And I was 20 something at the time. I had lots of jobs in fruit stands, and I was a professional ski patroller, and I was a paramedic, and I worked up north in the oil rigs, and I was a real estate agent, and I've been an executive director, and I worked in a bank, and so. But everyone's like, "Well, how have you had that many jobs?" It's like, well, normally I had 3 jobs at any one point. So it's it's built. All that built me to get where I am with my business, and it was contacts, because contacts are king.
Oh, absolutely. It's especially in the Okanagan. It's a lot about most places, but it's a lot of who you know.
Yeah.
And that was we were laughing at the Bianca show last week, and how I just kind of plopped down in the middle, and because I knew so many people that were there.
Yeah.
And friends we were at dinner with last night were laughing like, yeah, we just watched you bounce around. Go say hi to everyone. I'm like, well, with what I do, whether it's Pride or when I used to run the Arts Council, now being on the college board and the foundation board, and you just get to know people. And I've been on so many different committees and whatnot. So, and even to the point where once we sat down, I saw this, one of the volunteer ushers. She used to work security at Rockets and was a client when I worked at BMO. And so I would see her and I'd go over and give her a hug, and same kind of thing, right? You just go and say hi to people. You see them once, twice a year, but it's still, nice to go and say hi and see how people are doing. So
there's a joke that very rarely do I travel anywhere without running into somebody I know. Flew into San Francisco last year, walked out off the plane into the airport and knew somebody. And it's like, hey, how's it going? Alicia, I don't remember her last name, but it was just everywhere. It's like there seems to be a connection. So contacts are king.
Yeah, they really are. Where am I at now? Okay, my last question about you on the personal side before we dig into the business, but how do you balance your personal identity with your professional persona?
Oh, geez. They're one and the same now.
Yeah.
They weren't before. Before I came out, I was a miserable, empty shell of who I am again.
Okay.
Because all the things that made me me were all the things that made me gay.
Right.
So my love of music, my love of dance, my love of performing arts. The only art thing I kind of did was getting into graphic design. So, that kind of stuck. And basically, I just became more and more unhappy because I kept bearing the things that I thought made me come out, appear gay. And it hurt my marriage. It made me a shitty father. Everything was just grumpy and miserable. And now it's one and the same. And I know you've got questions that we'll touch on this too moving forward, but it really is one and the same, and it makes it so much easier. So, like I didn't have a work persona. I don't have a work persona and a me persona and a friend's persona and, a by myself persona. It's all one and the same, take it or leave it.
Right.
And it's so much easier. 100%. It's so much easier, and I'm so much happier. And my kids are so much happier.
Yeah.
My ex-wife, not so much happier. I mean, she's happier now that we're not together, so she's not dealing with miserable me. But I mean, like, she's not a big fan of me, that's for sure.
No. Can't win them all, right?
And that's okay.
Yeah. Well, and it's always interesting asking people those questions because it's very different, right? And how they live their life that way. Because some people, it's very hard. Like, I'm this person at work and I'm, this person kind of at home, depending on how they live their life, right?
Well, and you haven't seen the space yet, but work and home are so integrated. Like, I could go days without leaving the house.
Yeah.
And sometimes I've done that. I'm like, I require adult interaction, right? So, like the living room is in part of the workshop. Right. And I've done everything I can to remove the space, but at the same time, I'm like, I have beautiful cathedral ceilings. I don't want to not see them when I'm in my private space. Yeah. But yeah, it's all one and the same now. And I recommend, if you feel like you have to silo yourself in your business compared to your personal life, there's something that's not matching.
Right.
Because something's going to fail, or something is hurting and it's not fun, right? So you want it to be all the same person, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think my only kind of silos is like, when I had to speak at our annual community meeting for the Central Okanagan Foundation, I didn't want to go up stage and drop the F-bomb every 30 seconds because the average age in that room was about 65 to 70. So that's kind of the only way I typically silo myself. Or even when I'm at the college board meetings, like, again, my trucker mouth kind of takes a break, but it still slips out every now and then.
I would say I would do the same, or because I used to be on the Tourism Industry Association of BC's board of directors for 4 or 5 years. Yeah. And I wouldn't say that I was different, but I was a lot more quiet because I was like this tiny little business with a bunch of tourism experience with like the juggernauts of the BC tourism industry. And I was just quiet and learning and listening for the longest time until I would be able to, voice my opinion and not, I was just fear of looking like an idiot. Right. So, maybe there's those times of experience where I'm newer at something or I'm the veteran at something, but I've also come to just be like, just be me, and it just cuts out the lag time of doing the things.
But that's part of it too, right? You say when you're in a new position, like when I first joined the college board, it was the same thing. You're kind of absorbing, because me being like previous to that, like I've been on the Central Okanagan Foundation board for now 3 years, I think 3.5 years. Yeah. But the first bit was, again, it was me absorbing, and now that I'm, now the chair of the organization, I speak my mind pretty freely. As you should. College board, I'm getting there now. I'm getting a lot more comfortable in raising things that more and more. But that first bit, sometimes you're learning, because you're going from, say, a pride board that's very, it's a working board versus being on governance boards, and so you kind of got to change your mindset in that aspect, right? So.
And then you can pull from one versus the other and be like, you know what, like if someone just got that done, this would not be a 4-month project. Yeah. Or it's like, this goes to staff. We pay them for a reason, right?
All the time, like, whether it's Christine or Lisa on the foundation board. And it's nice, like when I go to Calgary next week, I'm going for a conference with the college. So then, I forget what her exact title is, but it's all around governance. And so she works with the board. So she booked all my flights and my hotels, and I'm like, this is great. So, and now I have 2 virtual assistants. Well, one's a virtual assistant, I guess, and one's a video editor, but also virtual. Yeah. So, which has been super helpful in getting different things done and whatnot. But there's still times you got to kind of do it yourself. But it's getting less and less, which is nice. So
I hear you.
But anyway, so let's switch gears, talk about the business. We can talk about, I mean, we can talk about kind of different aspects, but I think maybe start with Munday Media.
Yeah, so Munday Media and Design. I just looked this up. I've been doing it for 13 years now, which just kind of blew by. And again, multiple things happening at the same time. Like, I was the executive director for the Oliver Suyas Winery Association at the same time because it was like my biggest contract.
Right. Yeah, that's like your consistent
so
income.
all
So
of those
bills,
things, right? It's like, okay, so here's my big contract. So there was lots of overlap with that kind of thing, but I've been doing it for 13 years. It was born out of hating real estate.
Okay.
So I used to be in real estate with my father. That blew up. We're estranged. And I continued doing real estate on my own. I did it for 6 years, was successful at it, but hated it. Okay. Because people suck. If I could only do business with business people, which wasn't hard to do in the South Okanagan, it would have been different. I had some amazing clients. Yeah. But when you sell a house to a person, and like Benoit, and you've had a few other people, realtors on, it is an emotional mess. Yeah. My kids, my house, my friends, my family, someone barfed there, whatever the frickin' story is. And I'm like, this is a business transaction. And I was sick and tired of getting shit on for doing a good job. Right. So I was like, no, that's it. I really liked the marketing side of things. I took on a beta program with Adobe to learn how to use their Adobe Muse website building program, which doesn't even exist anymore. Okay. So really got into that. And I'm like, no, I started doing websites for other people, which I hate doing websites now, by the way. They suck. I don't do them very much at all. And just kind of morphed from there. Was doing the executive director work for the Winery Association, and that was kind of a position that didn't exist. I started doing event management, and then it grew and grew and grew, and built a contract for myself and just kind of ran with it. So that was working. The Half Cork Marathon was my biggest project with them. That won best event in Canada. The year after I left, because I was still volunteering. Yeah. When we were nominated the year I was still there. So I did that for 6 years. Okay. But all at the same time, there was a local print shop in Suyas that shut down. So what I used to do is I went from websites and then started designing point of sale stuff to match websites for people. Okay. And would send the print items to them, and they would just give me an automatic 30% off what their set fee was. They made money still. They didn't have to deal with the clients. I made money. Yeah. They shut down. And I was like, oh, so as most entrepreneurial businesses are born from see a need, fill a need. And that's what it was. So I bought a shitty printer and then was like running jobs through a printer that never should have been able to do what it was doing. And it was constantly breaking, and bought more equipment, hired staff. I actually have no formal graphic design training. Everything was YouTube videos. And I mean, you either have it or you don't. Yeah. You know what looks good, you know what works, you understand what blank spaces, white spaces, all those things. And it comes down to all the contacts I've built. Right. Where I was very prevalent, I still am, in the wine industry in the South. And everyone needed stuff quickly, needed it now, and I was able to produce. And then it was, oh, I would like a sign made. Can you do this? Well, let me look into the equipment. To the point that I had amassed a ridiculous amount of equipment. I had to close my garage in to fit everything. Yeah. The local paper in Suyas had a paper cutter. And bless this person's soul, she says, you can have the paper cutter if you can move it. If you can move it, you can have it. It's free. And so we went, and there I found it's ginormous. I found the directions hidden in the foot of this thing, and it had a part list, and it had the weight of every single piece. So I did the math, and it weighs more than 3 metric tons. It required forklifts and rollers made of steel and lift gate trucks to move it, and I'd moved the bloody thing twice. So when I leave this house, it's staying. I'm not moving it again because it is a lot of work to move it. And that was really what did it. Having an industrial cutter, right, where I could cut, giant stacks of paper at once, right, is really where it's like, okay, ramped up production, bought more machines, bought more equipment, and that's just kind of how it rolled.
This is actually interesting one because we ask how, or I like to always ask how your queer identity has impacted your business, but I know at the time you were presenting a straight. So I'm curious if your view of business has evolved as you've come out. Like, what is that?
Hugely. I know, because I've watched all of the Queerpreneurs episodes. I haven't finished Tommy's yet.
Yeah.
But you ask this, and everyone's like, oh, yeah, it doesn't really make a difference. But I was like, yeah, but I've done the same business straight and gay, and it's a huge difference.
Yeah.
Because before, I would print anything. I don't care. I'm a capitalist.
Yeah.
Give me the money. I'll do the work. I don't care what the content is. That is not the case anymore. I had a freedom person ask me to print posters for a gathering in Oliver the other day from Vernon. And I was like, quickly Googled it. I'm like, nope, I will not print this.
Yourself.
And they're like, how come? And I said, I don't agree with your content, and I choose to deny work to anyone I want.
Yeah.
And just no response. And I was like, good. Thanks for making that easy.
Yeah.
It also helped me pare down my clients. So clients that I was never super comfortable with, but then I also couldn't say why I wasn't comfortable with them because, they were anti-trans or saying crappy things on social media or just were full-on douchebags.
Yeah.
I fired. And it also empowered me to be a stronger person for my staff. I only had women working for me the entire time. Well, that's not true. I had 2 guys, but they were short-lived. And any time an employee was treated poorly by a client, gone.
Yeah.
Like, no. Like, and normally what I would do is I would do a test is I would email from their emails and then follow up from my email. And just the way that my staff were treated for being women or being a subordinate was unacceptable. And so there's a whole section in my books where their first name is fired. And there's like 30 something of them now. I just get rid of them. And then also, like, I put some big ass pride flags up on my building. Yeah. And I've had people yell at me and scream at me from the sidewalk. I've been called a pedophile for standing outside of my building. So it's there. And like even on the drag side, I was supposed to MC an event for our dance studio that I've been involved in for over a decade. And we had to pull me as the MC because some parents went to the studio owner and was like, this isn't going to work. Yeah. And we weren't going to tell people. I was just going to do it. And so we're lucky we kind of dodged that bullet because, I mean, the parents are the bread and butter. So it's, it does make a big difference. Yeah. If it's a queer-focused business, I could see it not making a difference, right? Because you're with your people, you're with your tribe. It's not crazy.
Some of my biggest clients and some of my, but for me, both personally and one of my biggest kind of twice-a-year clients have nothing to do with the LGBT community. Like when I go to Vegas or to Mexico, and that's money in my bank, not in Rebellious Unicorns, but those are all big corporate things. And then the other client we actually have not next week, the week after. Nothing to do with LGBT. But we don't advertise any of that anywhere, right? Because it's obviously not the face of what we do. It's these other contracts, but they definitely put some good cash in the bank. So
see, now I want to know more about these contracts. I'm like, what else are you doing that I don't know about? This sounds way more exciting.
Yeah, I get to go to Mexico in June.
Cool.
That'll be a wild trip. What do you feel has been your biggest challenge as an entrepreneur?
So I'm a people pleaser. And the hardest thing for me has always been to say no. So during my straight years, I ran my own business and was like on 3 or 4 boards at any one point. Okay. And like working hard boards, like Oliver Tourism, Highway to Healing, BC or Thai BC, all at the same time to keep myself busy. Because if I was working and I was busy, I was distracted. Yeah. And then also, as the business was growing, anytime someone asks you to do something, it's like, well, no, but let me figure it out. Like, how can I help? We're from Amsterdam, that TV show, I love it. And everything's like, how can I help? How can I help? How can I help? To the point that you've done that it is this giant ball rolling that you're just like, holy crap. Like I looked at my client list the other day and I'm like, okay, there's a client list of 1,200 people for now a one-man show. So it's like, okay, that's a lot. So learning how to say no, what to say no to, putting proper value on, what's a loss leader versus what's a waste of time versus, you know, like, where do I make my money? Where do I spend my money? And once you've offered those things and then having to start pulled back is really hard because people expect it. So there's saying no, hardest thing I've ever learned, saying no. And then the money side. I think we all suck at the money side when we first, well, not you, you come from banking, but entrepreneurial, it's easy to, yeah. I'm experiencing, you know, the money side right now with the Airbnb. So it's government, fucking government. Anyways.
They're always a nightmare.
Yeah. Staff's fucking hard.
It is, yeah.
I mean, you and I have had this conversation a couple times because we've both had staff and now we're down to no staff. So like I had at my busiest 6 people working for me.
Oh, wow.
And they all made more money than I did.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had to really make that hard decision of you grow or you shrink.
Right.
So it's like, to grow, I thought I needed to bring in 2 to 3 more people, triple the amount of work coming in to put more money in my pocket, or get rid of everybody. And I was like, if I did 70%, I'd still put more money in my pocket. Yeah. Well, I'm doing 80% on my own to what 7 of us used to do at one point. And it's just because I'm not taking the crap work. I'm putting my time into doing the work instead of training, fixing, correcting, because finding people to do what I can do, I can't afford them.
Right.
So it's usually hiring a friend, bringing someone up, training them from the bottom, all the way to the point that it just makes sense. So I've got no staff. I do have a contractor, kind of like you do. I have a wonderful person in Guatemala who I can send things to, and she'll shoot me back like 2 options the same day, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, it's now that I've got, say 2, both in the Philippines, and it's nice because they work kind of the evening hours, so it's good at the end of the day. I can fire off some Loom videos of like, you know, I need this, and sometimes there's some language barriers as there is, but they're so much more productive than when I had staff.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and the income still has been, you know, still continuing up. This year will be, I mean, we're down from last year, but I also had a big grant last year. So, but yeah, we're doing more than what we did when I had staff. Like, but it's different expenses.
Yeah, there was always one pro to staff that I've really felt since I've gotten rid of everybody is I don't have someone to show off to. Like, I don't have someone else in the room to show that I'm good at what I'm doing. So I get distracted really easily. I swear I have ADHD or something. So like, I will get distracted by my phone and go down an Instagram rabbit hole, where if I had someone there that was my employee, I wouldn't do that. Okay. Right? So I have to show that I'm busy and stay busy. So sometimes I wish I had like someone to watch me work so I'd be more productive. Anyways, that's just a me thing.
I think, you know, and I mean, I feel like a way that could potentially is if there's ever co-working spaces, right? Because they're not staff, but you know, I feel like it's that similar aspect of like people are watching, even though they're not fucking paying attention to you, but it still feels like they are because you're in a room full of people that are being productive, and you don't want to be that asshole that's just sitting there on your phone fucking around.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the optics.
Yeah, exactly. How about sharing a real memorable success story in your journey on entrepreneurship?
Oh, right before COVID, I won the BC Small Business Award for People's Premier Choice in 2019.
Yeah.
So my staff nominated me for the award, and they were ever so kind because all the awards required a shit ton of work. Oh. You were supposed to, you know, write a proposal, go for meetings, whatnot. And they're like, we just nominated you for this one, which was basically flex your social media muscle. So and that's really what it was. It's like, get as many likes as you can.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, let's bring it on. Like, small town Oliver business just needs to get the most likes. Yeah. And so I won, and that was awesome and exciting. And I got up on stage, probably the heaviest I've ever been. I hate the photos. It was like 260 pounds at the time. And instead of making it all about me, a really big issue at that time for my clients, because most of my clients are winery based, was the Free My Grapes initiative. I'm not sure if you heard about it,
Is
but
that the one with like getting shipping wine?
yeah, so
Okay.
basically it's illegal to ship wine from province to province
Right.
because of some super archaic
Yeah.
laws. And so some wineries were doing it, some weren't. And it was like, I have the federal and provincial minister of trade sitting in front of me.
Yeah.
And I was like, so now I've got your attention and you're all looking at me. This is a big issue. And I was just
Yeah.
like, rawr. And I talk with both ministers still, like,
Yeah. That's great.
so it's, I was just like, I had just had a great moment at that
Yeah.
point. And, it's nice to get recognized. And
Absolutely
I've got
it
my
is, yeah.
shiny piece of glass that sits on the printer collecting dust.
Yeah.
So that's probably the biggest one. And
amazing.
then when that big event won Best Event in Canada,
Yeah.
even though I wasn't still the executive director,
You
it
got it
meant
to
a
that
lot.
point,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like accolades are big.
Totally. Even if your name's not attached to it, like officially on it, it's still, you help build it to that point to get there, that someone
Yeah.
else can get that.
Yeah.
So, and I sometimes joke about that with some of events that we've had in the past and how people have taken my leftovers. Literally had that discussion earlier today. Not for on camera, but we can have that discussion afterwards.
Okay.
Do you approach marketing any different if you're like trying to target LGBT business?
No.
Yeah.
So I don't market at all anymore.
Okay.
I will sponsor things and say, please don't list me as a sponsor because I want to help because I want to help.
Right.
But I'm so busy. Like, I'm still contemplating like what parts of my business I'm going to be removing because there's so much work going on. So I market very little.
Okay.
I used to market tons, and it was usually just buying advertising and whatever things
Right.
I was producing or making at the time. But yeah, I'm scared to bring in more business because I regularly just have to say no and turn it away. So if you're not a
Yeah.
pre-existing client right now, I usually say no.
Yeah.
Unless
I
it's
mean,
a decent contract. I'm like,
Right.
okay, well, that's a good chunk of change.
Yeah, and it's worth it. But I mean, and that's a good place to be, right? You don't have to invest in advertising, and you have people just coming in your door.
I mean, like, that's the Monday media side. Like,
Yeah.
if you're looking at the Ginny Tonic side as me being a brand new
Right.
drag queen, I put a shit ton of effort
Yes.
into that marketing because I need people to know who I am,
Yeah.
recognize me, see how I'm different, because I've put a ton of money into it. And I want
It's
it
a
to
big investment.
eventually, like, oh my God, like,
Yeah.
I have probably spent at least $10,000 already.
It's
and I've been
easy
doing
to
it for
do.
4 months.
Yeah.
So, like, I put effort into that to get
Yeah.
recognized.
Where do you want to take Ginny? Like, what's the goal there?
So I do when I take on something, I do it to the nth degree. So the year I learned how to snowboard, I went and bought all the equipment and I went with people who were all experts.
Yeah.
And I think I still have the record for Mount Baldy has the most amount of injuries in one season of 12 times visiting ski patrol. Knocked myself out twice. And then I became a volunteer ski patrol the next year, and I became a pro ski patrol the following year. So when I find something I enjoy, I dive in. And being business-minded, I view it as a business. So if I'm going to sink money into it, I want to get my money back out, and I
course.
want it to make money. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, but I love doing it.
Okay.
It takes all the things that were buried and hidden inside of me for such a long time and allows me to just fucking toss it at people.
Yeah.
So whether I'm dancing crazy things, playing a saxophone or a bass clarinet or singing or sewing or whatever it is just that ultimate outlet for me.
Right.
So it is like the big time hobby for me right now. But at the same time, I want to be recognized. I want to be known. Am I going to go for something bigger like a drag race? I don't know. I'm 4 months in, right? So Kelowna's Next Drag Superstar, that's the big thing on my plate right now.
Yeah.
Planning.
Mine too, but in a different way.
Yes, true.
Yeah. If I can get spelling right. Death of me. Oh my God.
All right.
It was funny though. I had some people that were like, "I sorry to point." I'm like, "No, it's fine. I'm not the type of person that's gonna get mad that you point out something I fucked up."
Yeah.
I would rather get.
fuck.
I'm more mad at myself for fucking it up. And yeah, so it's just I'm like, no, it's please continue to tell me, and that's like why I put that message group chat yesterday. I'm like, tell me, I'll fix it. Like, I don't have a problem fixing something. Even though I looked at it 4 million fucking times, but when you're scheduling 13 posts over a couple hours and it's like copying and pasting from here to there, you're bound to fuck something up.
Yeah, totally.
So,
AI, check my spelling.
well, it's not so much, I mean, because some drag performers, their names are not typical spelling.
Like
that's,
mine,
yeah, and that's why this time I really did more copy and paste than trying to type things. It was Canva where I fucked things up. But,
fucking Canva. I hate Canva. Anyways.
It's a blessing and for some of us. I get usually like templates built by a designer and then I just tweak them.
It's when you send a Canva file to your printer and says, please print. And I say, but this is not a print ready file. And then I blow up your mind because you built it in a web-based blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I can't print this. It's not going to work. And then we fight.
Yes. On the queer side of things, are there any LGBT specific initiatives that are kind of near and dear to your heart?
Yeah, so I'm now on the board of SOS Pride, South Okanagan Similkameen Pride, not SOS Save Us, We're Gonna Die, which I always found hilarious. I actually joined the board like right after I came out.
Okay.
And I was on the board for like all of 3 days. And I was in a new relationship, and remember I said I have a hard time saying no? So I went back and I was like, this is not the right time for me to do this. I need to figure out queer Tony. Like, even being able to say queer, I couldn't say queer to start. Okay. Like, it's a word that I've just embraced. I felt like there was a second big coming out of starting drag, and then all of a sudden I could say I was queer, where I couldn't do that before. Yeah. So I've been involved with Pride Arts in Osoyoos ever since it started, and always kind of been involved with SOS Pride and helping out, taking part in Kelowna Pride every now and then to sell things. Yeah. But yeah, I'm vice president right now and not planning on going anywhere anytime soon, and starting new initiatives and event planning and those types of things.
Well, you cover a large area.
I do.
The whole group there.
Yeah, so Princeton to Peachland. So it's a huge area. Yeah. So like just making a poster yesterday for Pride Month for the South Okanagan Similkameen, it is full. Yeah. Like every community has an event. Some communities have multiple events. Yeah. So I'm not sure how we're going to get to all of them.
Well, you do what you can, right?
Right.
As volunteers.
The other thing that's really near and dear to my heart is a queer presence in schools. Okay. And I do that physically by being in the schools. Okay. So I volunteer at my kids' school every Friday, except for today because I had to get ready for drag tomorrow. I volunteer with the band program. So I help teach the grade 5, 6, and 7's band for 4 hours every Friday. Nice. And I'm just there. Right. And I'm present. And they see me with painted nails, or they'll see me like I wore heels one day.
A rainbow ring.
Yeah, all the things. Yeah. So everyone knows. And it's not an issue, and it's fantastic. Yeah. There wasn't even, I was worried there might be an issue at the school when I started doing drag, and no. And I told the principal and said, heads up, I've started doing drag. And she looked at me, she said, if anyone comes to me to complain that a volunteer parent is here for free, they can take their kid to a different school. And I was like, awesome. Yeah. And then I also volunteer, our high school doesn't have a music program anymore. It got axed years ago. Oh, so my daughter now going into grade 8, we've started a music club at the high school where I teach a completely separate band. Oh, okay. And we opened it up to all the grade 7s. Yeah. So there's not a single high school student in it. I have 16 grade 7 kids. Yeah. But they're going to be in grade 8 next year. So the idea is to build this, and then we can go back to administration and say, hey,
we have enough people.
We have enough people. Can we please hire a music teacher and put this back inside the system? Yeah. But then again, everyone is seeing Tony the queer dad is here, and he's volunteering and he's taking part. Yeah. And I think it makes it easier for both of my kids.
That's great. Well, I mean, more time to be with them too, right?
Definitely.
Which is great. Back on the entrepreneur side, do you feel there's any challenges that are unique to queer entrepreneurs that need more attention or advocacy?
That need more attention or advocacy? No, nothing that really comes to mind. I feel like any issues that a queer owner would have is not necessarily entrepreneurial. It's going to be where they are themselves in the community.
Right.
You know, like, the business is the business. If you get, you know, hate, it's not necessarily the business getting the hate, it's the person getting the hate, right? I mean, you are a very queer business, so you get all the fucking hate.
I love it. Now we just have fun with it. I'll even comment to people. I'm like, thanks for helping our post get more traction.
Exactly,
you're
right?
an idiot. Like, if you would have just unfollowed or done something else, probably would have solved more issues for yourself. But instead, you're going to comment. And so I'm also going to share with Ella. So then she makes some funny comment back.
Yeah, so I found it on the drag queen side. So when I was helping promote the Hello Dolly show that I got to tag on there in Oliver, 100%. There were haters right away. Like, I was like, I'm going to post this in all the public groups. And then people were like, grr. But as far as like Monday Media goes, no. And like, I don't think I'm going to have any issues with the Airbnb kind of thing, because I'm just putting it out there that this is going to be a queer space when that eventually launches, once I get the fucking licensing all put together.
I feel like that's another episode.
It is a whole other episode.
How often do you feel like giving up?
Oof. You know, it usually comes down to you're at that overwhelmed point, and like, I have a massive whiteboard. There's so many digital ways I've tried to stay organized and nothing works. I have a whiteboard. Yeah. And printing and signage and graphics and design and apparel, and they all have their own section. And then there's red dots means I have to do something, blue dots that means it's on the client, P for production, F for finishing, I and V for invoice. Everything's color coded. And sometimes it gets to the point that I can't prioritize it. Right. And that's when I want to give up. Yeah. And that's where you're just like, And then, you know, that I got to get diagnosed, that ADHD perceived side of me, where it'll get to that holy fuck stage. And when you're in the holy fuck stage, all of a sudden you hunker down, and something you've been working to try to get done for the last 4 days, you get done in like 60 minutes. And you're like, well, why the fuck couldn't I have done that in the 4 days in advance?
We call that hyperfocus.
Yes. So I find I get a lot of hyperfocus in drag. Yeah. Where it's like, sure, teach me how to do this. You know, Ginger gives me a makeup lesson, and I'm like, ooh, like, let's learn this now.
Do you ever consider going like back to 9 to 5 type setup?
Oh my gosh, I had this thought like 3 days ago. I was just like, you know, I could just apply for like a job with the town, and then I quickly go, I would be bored out of my fucking mind, and I would not be happy.
Exactly.
And that's what it would be. It would just be, it wouldn't work. Like, I think back to like when I worked at the bank, hated it. I worked at a bank that was also unionized.
Gosh.
So you couldn't even work hard to get better. Like, you literally waited for the old lady at the wicket beside you to retire or die. And I was like, no, this is not working for me. And everything kind of since then has always had some kind of entrepreneurial side to it.
Yeah, I agree. I think about that, like, there's days I'm just like, oh, I'm fucking done. Like, it's way too much work and not enough money or whatever it is. And I'll like spend a couple hours going through like LinkedIn, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, you know, you realize afterwards, I'm like, I'd be fucking miserable, not enjoy it. So I just gotta figure this out. And that's, I think, a sign of a true entrepreneur, right? You figure the shit out.
And that's, I think, an entrepreneur should mean problem solver.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do.
100%.
That's all we do is find and solve problems, and then we just do it for people and they pay us. So when you're looking at those jobs on LinkedIn, you're looking at like, oh, this organization needs their ass kicked in gear. Yeah. And that seems maybe exciting. Yeah. Right? So,
agree. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to do lightning round. So just this or that. I know that you've watched lots, and most people fail at this. They have to fucking describe it.
All right. I've talked a lot, so let's see how quick I can nail this down.
Dinner at a fancy restaurant or home cooked meal?
Fancy restaurant.
Multiple short vacations or one long vacation a year?
Multiple short.
Mexico or Hawaii?
Hawaii.
Toronto or Montreal?
Montreal.
Watch a movie or go enjoy live music?
Live music.
Spain or Portugal?
Spain.
Agreed. Vancouver, Victoria?
Vancouver.
Early riser or like to sleep in?
I like to sleep in, but I unfortunately am an early riser.
Drive or fly?
Drive.
Audiobooks or real books?
Audiobooks.
Debit or credit for business?
Credit.
Bank or credit union?
Credit union.
Are you a dog or a cat person?
Dog.
Spotify or Apple Music?
Apple Music.
I think you're one of the first. No, Tommy. And there's a question that, or a comment he made afterwards that I will not repeat on camera. Are you a popcorn person?
Yes.
Pineapple on a pizza?
Yes.
Oof. 1 or 2 word answers for this next couple. Favorite type of music?
Oof. That everything. Like, I'll
Just a
groove to
slut for
gospel.
music.
Yeah, sorry. I was really good for the first ones. I'm like, I can't give you all these reasons, but you don't need them.
No. Favorite time of year?
Spring.
Favorite place to travel for vacation?
I haven't found it yet.
No? Okay, fair enough. So just kind of my kind of final thought questions. How do you handle work-life balance and self-care as an entrepreneur?
Whew. That I think I've just figured out.
Yeah.
So learning how to say no.
Yeah.
And when to say no. And trusting your gut. When you think you shouldn't do something, don't do it.
Agreed.
Like, and you second guess it so much, right?
Yeah.
So you just like, no, weird feeling on a client, weird feeling on a job, weird feeling on any, just no. Just no. Like, you're not needing to chase it. So yeah, that's the other thing is you'd be surprised how much you can get done in less time. So give yourself less time. Yeah. So I used to be that person that would work ridiculously late at night. And then I stopped allowing myself to do that, and I still would get stuff done during that time during the day. So what I've also done is I've restricted my hours. So I've got rid of all my staff, but I also went down to 4 days a week and reduce the hours of those. So I used to be 9 to 5, 5 days a week with staff. Now I am 10 to 5 on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and 9 to 2:30 on Tuesdays because I teach music. And I get the same amount of work done as I did before because it just works. So restrict your time, and then when you're not working, don't work.
Right.
Like, just really focus. Like, you know, like, I won't start till 10. Like, yes, I could get more work done. But if I don't start till 10, that means I get in my yoga. Yesterday I had time to do my nails, so I've got it ready for tomorrow's drag show. I can relax and properly prepare. Where if I start stressed at 9 or 8 because I feel like I'm behind, I'm not as effective.
True.
So those are crazy hard lessons that I've learned.
That's a great point. Why I felt so off today, because I usually sit and read in the morning while I drink my coffee and have a little light breakfast. I didn't get that this morning because I slept in a bit and had booked a meeting out of the house early, which I don't normally do. So
yeah, like those routines are so important.
Yeah. Right? Any tips or strategies for building resiliency in your business?
I've been preparing for this question because
I almost skipped over it too.
No, don't skip this one because I would have been like, ask me the last goddamn question.
That's
okay,
not the last
so
one,
so this one I learned hard. So you've had lots of people talk about finance and whatnot, and when you first start in business, it's very easy to not put away money for your taxes, not look after your books properly. So one, get a bookkeeper. Get a bookkeeper that you communicate well with. Because a good bookkeeper is nothing more than someone you can communicate well with. So I got an amazing bookkeeper. My tip is any money you put into your bank account, multiply it by 30% and put it in a savings account. It will automatically cover your GST, cover your PST, cover your taxes, and usually 2 or 3 full credit card payments when it comes tax time. Like, make it automatic. So $100 come in, $30 goes into a savings account. And then what happens is you amass, like, I've got, you know, a savings account that at any one point has $10,000 to $20,000 to $30,000 sitting in it. I don't have to worry about filing GST, PST. I don't have to worry about when it comes tax time. And if I need money, I can borrow money from myself.
Right. Smart.
Right? So it just kind of creates this little magic banking system just automatically. And don't think, oh, well, that was a deposit, so I didn't collect taxes, blah, blah. No. Anything that goes in that bank account, I'll do it every 2 or 3 days. All my income, okay, add it up, times 0.3, transferred into a savings account. And ever since I did that, the finance side is not stressful anymore.
That's good. Smart.
I mean, other than the
I could learn that
ridiculously
one.
expenses that I'm putting out to get my Airbnb license,
Right.
like those external things, those are financial stressful things. But, you know, operating the money side of your business should not be stressful.
Right.
And then it goes to the bookkeeper. The bookkeeper looks at that. You take the bookkeeping, learn your accounting system, and then it goes to the accountant. and what used to be terrifying, like my ex-wife was in books. She used to do it all for me. And then I was like, what the fuck? How am I going to function? And then I implemented that rule, and the stress on the finances disappeared.
Smart.
So that is
smart.
my biggest tip.
Yeah.
And employees cost a fuck ton of money.
Yes.
Really evaluate if you need them.
Yeah, that's why I like Contract Nice too, right? Because it can ebb and flow. Do you have any favorite books, podcasts, or mentors that have inspired you?
You know, that when I was in real estate, it was something that was kind of forced upon me. So I was working with my dad, and we were doing coaching and all these things. So like, we had to read Think and Grow Rich and do personality profiles and learn how we learn and blah, 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 blah. None of it made a huge difference.
Okay.
What made a huge difference was coming out and being who I am.
Authentic self.
100%. Because once you are who you are at all times, doing all things, it's easy.
Yeah.
And those who gravitate towards you will work with you. Those who don't won't. And it just simplifies everything. So, like, you know, like, there's people that'll look at me like, hey, I really like how that person does that graphic design. And, oh my gosh, I really like what this drag queen did. And, like, you know, seeing Sherry Vine the other night opening for Bianca, she sang the Jolene song that I did a parody of, and I'm like, fuck, girl. So I sent her a message, and she's like, and showed her my video from the Dolly show.
Nice.
She's like, oh, that's a fun version. So, you know, that kind of thing where I'll take inspiration from individuals, but at no point am I going to say, oh yeah, like this one person's making a ton of money and I want to do it like that. No, I want to be really good at being me. Right. And you can't learn that from a podcast or a book or another person.
Any advice you give to someone that is thinking about becoming an entrepreneur?
Have some savings, because it costs some money to start up. I don't think I would have been able to start any of my businesses if I didn't have a relationship and a partner who was also making regular money.
Okay.
So that doesn't mean that you can't do it, but having some financial stability within your household, however it works, and support of that other person. Because I would run and do things without necessarily permission from my ex-wife, and she hated it, and I would push boundaries left, right, and center. So have some financial stability to get started. See a need, fill a need, have an idea, write a fucking budget. Because if you just think you're gonna, you know, spend 10 grand and all of a sudden work's gonna show up, you need to know where it's gonna come from in any industry, in any aspect, if it's service or product or all the things in between. And find some people, go pick people's brains. I pick people's brains all the time. Like, you're good at this.
Yeah.
Can I learn? And don't be afraid to do some shit for free.
Totally.
Right? So I've learned more volunteering than anything else. And then it totally applies. And then it builds contacts. And contacts are king.
That's how I learned all my event planning, was volunteering. And that's how I got in. I did many, many years with Kelowna Pride before I was eventually hired, because I just said, I can't fucking do this as a volunteer anymore.
Yeah.
Right? It becomes a point too. So, volunteering and doing stuff. Sometimes you do it for free.
Yeah. The KISS method, keep it simple, stupid.
Oh, yeah.
Especially like when I'm doing design or planning events or any of those things, you know, how do I make this as simple as possible? Yeah. And then as a designer, I also apply what I call the 12-year-old boy method. So after I've done something, how do I draw a penis on it? How do I make it look like it has tits? How do I add a mustache? So, but honestly, it can be applied to anything.
Yeah.
How do I defame what I've created? And, you know, you see there's like videos all over the internet of like, oh, you know, this logo is supposed to be a sun setting behind a Kubota and it looks like a dick and an ass, right? So the KISS method and the 12-year-old boy method can be applied to everything.
Yeah. Well, it's great. Thank you so much for
thank
coming
you.
in today. Appreciate it. I got to learn a lot more about you than I knew before, so it was great. And different aspects, right? Business, personal, Because I feel like when we see each other all the time, it's always an event and there's lots going on.
I know. I was like, I get to sit down and hang out with Dustyn for a little bit. This is exciting.
Yeah, I don't. I like this because I get to meet people more and people that are so far mostly have been in my life in different aspects. Some, been friends and close friends, and some have been people that I've worked with once, and so it's good to actually get to chat and see a different side of people. So I enjoy it. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. It's been great.
Yeah, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of Queerpreneurs Unleashed. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Beautiful.